What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So, wasn't a blip. Philadelphia. Wasn't a blip. New year, new coach, same problems. Lack of defensive organization, lack of ball movement, lack of movement off the ball, lack of everything. I mean, just lack of everything. It was dull, it was boring, it was frustrating to watch. And after quite a few games of, you know what, the effort was there. You know, we worked hard, we moved the ball well, it was entertaining. All of a sudden, we lose one game, and we can't. Next game, all of a sudden, we look terrible. We look like a below average MLS team. That's not good enough. I basically it. It's not good enough. So what are we going to do about it? What's Heinze going to do about it? Because after that Philadelphia result, I expected to see some changes. I expected to see some sort of reaction of, okay, that wasn't good enough. You know, we played well, but we got to finish our chances, and defensively, we've got to be better. So today I saw more defensive disorganization. I saw more lack of movement. I saw, well, I guess less movement would be the better way to put it. I saw more giveaways. I saw just less of everything I wanted and more of everything I didn't want. And I don't know what he did to change it, but it certainly felt like he did everything in his power to make sure we were very hindered in this game. And sure, he's resting players for the Champions League game that we're going into 3-0 down. Like, oh, I mean, he's not given up on it, so that's good to see, right? Yeah, so let's go lose our next MLS game to maybe beat Philadelphia in their own stadium, maybe by 1 goal. That's not enough to put us through. You dumbass. So yeah, lineup. So dumb. You go with Mulroney at left back, and he's not a left back. He's shown time and time again why he's not a left back. On the ball, he can be clever. He can be tricky. Defensively, he doesn't have it. He's not a left back. Brooks Lennon comes back, which honestly, he's probably our best right back, which is scary to say. But yeah, he's probably our best right back right now. But then you go Franco, who had a terrible game against Philadelphia, and walks. No Robinson. So now you've taken out our star player in the back. Cool. And then in the midfield, you go Sosa, okay, Ibarra, okay, Heineman, okay. You know, just keep that midfield three. You got some decent players in there working hard. Sosa is showing more and more that he's just kind of an average player. Like, he's not the star that I thought he was going to be when we first saw him. He's pretty average. But, you know, that three it's solid. It's decent. And then you go Moreno, Dom, and Torres up top. So no Barco, no Martinez. And after Dom's performance against Philadelphia midweek, the fact that I saw him again starting tells me that Heinze doesn't have any clue what he's doing. I mean, you went without 3 of your best players in Robinson, Martinez, and Barco. Without those 3, you've got a very below average MLS team, and we got showed that tonight. Because New England didn't look that good either. They're quick, they play quick, they press you hard, but talent-wise, They got one guy that thinks he's Neymar, not because he's talented, but because he dives a lot. And of course, he's the one that wins that crap penalty, which was outside the box. And Pinso is an idiot and gave it in the first place, even though there was no contact. But, you know, referees aside, because all MLS referees suck. But, of course, we get Marufo and then Pinso back to back. Probably 2 of the worst ones that I can remember. I can't remember who the other one is that when I hear his name, I'll know. But I know there's one other MLS referee that when I hear his name, it makes me go, ugh. And Pinso is one of them because he's a terrible referee. And today he showed it. He's got to be the big man, even though he's like 5'5". So, you know, they're not that talented of a team, but they're athletic and they're going to run at you. They're going to press you hard. But we should be talented enough to pass around that. Problem is, you took out 3 of your talented players. So now we're less talented. And now we're giving the ball away a lot. And now we're also not defending well. And now we're just giving up chances. And we're constantly getting pressured. And they're hitting the post and they're hitting the post. And then they score. Because Heinz has set us up for it. So, yeah, it comes down to the coach, in my opinion. The players have their part to play too. And some of them probably should not play again for a while. But they probably will because we don't really have any other options. But Heinz has got to set us up in a way that makes us effective. And this is 2 games in a row where I feel like he's not done that. And he's put us at a bit of a disadvantage. And in the Philadelphia game, it didn't hurt us till later. In this one, it hurt us right away. I mean, we were on the back foot from the very beginning. And even in the second half, when we stepped up our game a little bit, it still wasn't good enough. And also, let's talk about just any sort of team play. Where was that today? And I don't know if that's him or if that's just the players being stupid, but it seemed like there was just a lack of team spirit today because you've got one guy on the ball, dribble, 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 no help. Defensively, one guy pressures, they pass it. That guy's done. And then somebody else steps to pressure too late, they pass it off to somebody else. And it's one person go. But it's too late because you weren't tracking your man. You're not moving when the ball's not near you. But then when the ball goes near you, oh, okay, now I'm going to go. It's too late. If you're not already moving before the ball gets to you, it's too late. Because as soon as you step, they already have in the mind what they're going to do. They have time to react. They have time to pick out their pass because you took too long to react because you turned off when the ball wasn't near you. Same thing happened on our attack. I mean, the amount of times I saw where it was our back four and they're just passing it around the back, and it would occasionally go to Sosa in the midfield. And I'm watching as they're doing that, and they're fighting off pressure because New England's just sending guys right at them, and they're running them, and they're closing them down, and they're packing them into a corner. And, like, where's the rest of the help? Everybody else is standing on the back line of New England. All of them, all 5 of them, are standing up there. Nobody's checking in. Nobody's showing into the space and saying, hey, give me the ball. Nobody's doing any of that. They're all just standing like, when you guys going to get it up here, huh? When are you going to kick it up here? Come on, kick it up here. What do you want them to do? Kick it up to one of their defenders so we can lose it and they can come right back at us? You want them to send it in behind to the keeper? You got to give options. And nobody was doing anything. It was happening the entire game. So the fact that that didn't change tells me that Heinz either didn't see it or he did see it and he decided not to change it for some odd reason. Either that or the players just didn't listen to him. And if that's the case, then I would assume he'd be furious. But they showed him mad at the referee at one point and he got a yellow because he was telling the referee to stop wasting time. So the referee wasted more time to show him a yellow because, again, Penzo's an idiot. But it didn't seem like he was upset about how we were playing. He's applauding them. He's like, good, come on, good effort, good effort. But it wasn't good effort. There were times when we were working hard, but it wasn't smart. And you can't play stupid in this league. Because if you play stupid, you're going to get picked off, and there are a lot of athletes that are going to make you pay for it. They're going to make you run, and they're going to force you to have to go back, and now we have to start all over. And we just didn't have any ideas, so it's just constantly passing around the back. And it reminded me of DeBoer. I'm like, no, he's gone. But why does it feel like he's still here? Because Heinz is not changing it. He didn't change it today. It was the exact same as last year. What little bit I saw, exact same problem. And I don't want to watch that. It's boring. So that's my rant about Heinz. You've had 2 wake-up calls. I'm assuming this midweek, I don't know. If we get embarrassed again, that's 3 strikes. At that point, I'm saying, okay, he's not good enough. It's still early days. Yeah, but the signs are all there. We know what the problem is. You should already know what the problem is. If you're not fixing that by the 3rd game in a row, there's a problem here. But I'm assuming since Philadelphia have a 3-0 lead already, they're probably just going to take it a little easier on us. They're probably not going to go hard. If they do, they'll probably run us to death. And we'll be so open in the back trying to push for goals that they'll probably just score more. But I'm assuming it'll probably be just a game. Might end 1-0 for us. Might end terrible for us. So you've got these 2 games back-to-back, though, where you've lost. chances are probably not going to be a good middle of the week game for you either. So going into the next week, now you're facing Miami, who is, from what I understand, on a bit of a hot streak. They're new, they're full of energy, they're excited to be in the league. You lose to a new team, what are you doing with your life? So, yeah, things have got to change and fast. Individuals, it's really hard to talk about individuals tonight because it's hard to pick out a good performance in all honesty. Guzan, I mean, there's not much he can do, but the problem I had with him tonight was on the ball. He was terrible. Way too many misplaced passes, way too many touches on the ball too. It felt like he was moving very slowly on the ball, and we're trying to keep the ball moving fast. And generally he's pretty good about touch and then find somebody. But tonight it was like he wasn't, and maybe that's because there was no movement in front of him, so maybe that's not entirely his fault. But it just felt like too many passes went not to its target from him. But keeping-wise, I mean, there's not much you can do on either goal. Like penalty for one. I do hate the fact that he guessed and like had to basically didn't even dive for it because he stepped the wrong way, and then all he had to do was just place it in the far corner. But the first one, I mean, it's a free header in the 6-yard box, which is becoming a thing for us. I wonder why. And then, some of the chances they had, it was just lack of defending, and they're getting free headers in the box. And as a keeper, there's not much you can do but just hope that it hits the post and goes out, and most of them did, thankfully, except for one. So, yeah, I can't really blame him for anything tonight, but he also didn't help himself with some of his passing. First talk about Franco since he got subbed out. Another disappointing night from him again, and we paid DP money for him. I'll mention that again because if you're going to be paying DP money for a defender, he should be lighting up the league. He's not. Miles Robinson is. So why do we pay that much money for him? Maybe he'll get better as the season goes on. Maybe he's still finding his way into the league. But right now he's slow. He reads the game poorly. He's constantly getting beat in behind. Going into stupid challenges. Too many fouls. Just so many things wrong with his play right now. And we're paying DP money for him. We're paying DP money for Joseph Martinez because he scores goals. Obviously, he's still working on getting back to that. But there's a reason we pay DP money for him. Why do we pay DP money for Franco? Don't see a reason yet. So he's got to prove himself, because he's not right now. He's showing me that he's a waste of money, that we're spending that much, and he's been scored on 4 times while he's been on the field. Walks better than Franco, which is actually sad, because he wasn't that good either. Defensively, he puts in a good challenge occasionally, but most of the time he gets beat too easily, in my opinion. And on the ball, he's just so slow. When we're moving the ball around the back, whenever it goes to him, it's like that touch, and then he's got to take like 3 strides to get back to it, and then another touch. And it feels so slow whenever it gets to him. Like, we're moving the ball well, and then walks. Slow. And then now they're just all compact again, and they're pressing hard on him, and now he's got to go backwards. So he's got to improve his footwork, because if we're going to be keeping possession in our back line this much, that's got to be better. Because every time it went to him, I'm thinking we're about to lose it again, because he's about to give it up, or we're about to go backwards to go long and lose it. But defensively, it was an average performance from him defensively. Lennon, another average game from him. Defensively, he does okay on the ball. Crosses all the way to the backside of the box where nobody is. Passing is just, it's okay. Dribbling, he might beat the first man, but then he has no idea what to do with it after that. So he's just a very average player. Doesn't really help us. Doesn't really hurt us either, though. Then I guess I'll talk about Mulroney. At left back, he was terrible. I fully expected him to get sent off again, like he did in the MLS's back tournament, like in the first half, because he was just constantly losing possession, constantly getting beat, constantly fouling. It looked like he was going to get sent off because he went into so many stupid challenges. When he got moved further up the field, it got a little bit better. I don't know why we went back to Moreno on the left and Mulroney on the right, Because we did that in the Chicago game, but then they switched and it looked a lot better. We moved the ball a lot better, and it felt like they were able to take it with their dominant foot and get a cross in or something along those lines. But now, Philadelphia game, we went back to Moreno was on the right, and Mulroney, when he came in, Moreno was on the left. Mulroney, when he came in, was on the right. And then today, Mulroney was left back. Moreno was on the left. And then when Bello came in, pushed Mulroney to the right. So we went back to that for some reason, and it didn't work again. Don't know why we keep trying it, but it didn't work again. So can we stop doing that? Can we stop putting these players on their non-dominant foot? Because as much as you want them to come in and have a shot, most of these teams pack it in the box. So they cut in to have a shot, and they're facing a wall of 4 guys in front of them. They're not going to get a shot off. So let's just put them on their dominant foot side so they can get it down the line, because they are pretty good in one-on-one situations. They beat the first guy, get it down, get a cross in, and hopefully something comes of it. It's as simple as that. So hopefully 2 games in a row of seeing that. Maybe Heinze will see it. Maybe he'll change it. But Mulroney, it does have to improve from him in general, though, because it does feel like there are too many times where he's moving a bit slower than everybody else. He's kind of just at a trot, and it's not fast enough, and he's not working hard enough. So he's got to improve his attitude a bit, because you can't have that attitude playing professional. It's just that's rec league stuff, turning off for like 15 minutes and just sort of jogging around. In the midfield, Sosa, like I said, he's kind of showing that he's not quite the superstar that we saw in those first couple of games against Alajuelense, because a lot of it has to do with his physical ability. Because he's talented on the ball, and he's a decent defender for the most part, mainly in the air. He can win things out of the air pretty well. But on the ground, he does dive in quite a bit. But the problem is that his talent on the ball doesn't get shown off very often, because there's so much pace and so much willingness to run and put pressure instantly that he doesn't really have time to make those quick decisions, or to make any decision really. And so his passing has not gotten to show what he can do that we saw in those first couple games. So he's got to find a way to play quicker. Either that, or he's got to get stronger and faster, but I don't know how long that's going to take. But right now, like, he's not quite the player that we were hoping for. And it's showing at times, because there's a lot of moments where it feels like we're not getting out of this press, and it's coming down to he should be the one to help us get out of that press. He should be the one to find that pass that gets us out of the press, but he's not, and he's having to basically just keep possession at this point, and we need more than that. So hopefully that improves from him. Ibarra, decent hard worker, but I didn't see a thing from him tonight. Defensively or on the ball, I can't remember anything that he did to help us. I think he was just a body out there tonight, and that's not good enough. So for a midfielder, we need more. We need somebody who's either got to be a defensive player, you're going to work hard and win the ball back, or you got to be a player that can dribble with it, be creative, make something happen. But he just didn't do anything. Like, I honestly I don't want to watch the first half again. That first half was hard to watch. But there is a part of me that's like, I want to see his highlights from the first half to see what did he do. Did he do anything good? Did he do anything bad? Or did he just was he just out there making, simple passes and that's it? Because I don't remember him at all in the first half. And then he got subbed off at halftime. So that might be part of why, because he wasn't doing anything. And then Heineman's problem is that he's a good player, but he doesn't get to show it enough, because I'm still not really entirely sure what Heinze wants him to be in our midfield. Does he want him to be a transition player, or does he want him to be more of an attack-minded player? Does he want him to be more of a box-to-box? Like, what does he want from him? Because right now it just kind of seems like he's sort of a floater. And sometimes he'll pick up the ball and do something good with it. Sometimes defensively he'll work hard, win it back. Sometimes he'll kick the air and the guy will flop over and it was just outside the box, but then VAR is like, no. I think that might have been just on the line. I know we have technology that can like draw the lines to see where the contact happened, like we do for offsides. But I'm gonna eyeball this. I think he caught him just on the line. We should give a penalty for this. And then Penzo's like, "Oh, give a penalty against Atlanta? My pleasure. I'd love to do that." Um, I know I'm just gonna keep making little Penzo jokes here and there because, frankly, he's a fun guy to make fun of because he's an idiot, and I love to make fun of idiots. Penzo makes it easy. No, but Hyman, I feel like he needs a more defined role in our midfield. He needs more of a this is what we need you to do because right now it doesn't feel like there's really any defined role for him. He feels like he's just a midfielder, and you need more than that. You need to give him more instructions on what he needs to do because there are times when it feels like he just sort of fades out of the game because he's just not involved, and then there are times whenever he's on the ball and he's making things happen. It looks pretty good, and so. And the other problem I think for him too is just the quickness of the game sometimes can run him by because he's not necessarily a quick player. He's got a decent amount of pace on him when he gets up to speed, but that quickness is what he lacks. And so there are times when he gets beat to it a little too easily because he's not ready for it. And then there are players that are quicker than him that beat him to it. So take from that what you will. Moreno, Moreno's a hard case because it's not like he wasn't working hard. He was involved a lot, but the problem is he was involved in the good and the bad. Because obviously he drew the penalty, he created some good chances, he was working hard to keep possession. There were times when he worked hard to win it back, but then also he gave away possession too cheaply sometimes. There were moments where he lost possession too easily or he kept a hold of the ball too long, and our attack that we had been building up to counterattack, he takes 3 or 4 touches in a row, and now all of a sudden the attack's gone because it took too long. So it's like he had his good moments, and then he had his bad moments. So it's like there were some players I didn't know they were out there at all. He was very noticeable on both sides of things. So whether that's good or bad, it's kind of hard to say. Because obviously, I mean, he did win us the penalty, and he finished the penalty too, so that's good. But then also there were moments where he set up some of their best attacks because he was giving the ball to them. Or again, he destroyed some of our best attacks because he took too many touches or he took too long to release it. So he's kind of a hard case, but I think he's probably going to be one of our better players going forward. That's the thing, his talent on the ball is above average in the MLS. Not much, not like Joseph Martinez or Miguel Almiron levels, but I mean, he's above average player. He's just got to get those weaknesses out of his game, get those mental errors out of his game, because that's his problem right now, just too many mental errors. Dom, like I said, I don't know why he started after the game against Philadelphia because he was awful in that game, and he was awful tonight. And I mean, he goes out injured, and that allows us to bring Bello in early, which I do think helped a little bit. But yeah, he just wasn't doing anything. You know, he has all this pace. He's supposed to be our speedy player up top that you get it up to him and he makes something happen with his pace. He wasn't doing that at all. He wasn't involved. Any touch that he took, I feel like nothing came of it. It was just, I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, why is he playing again? And he's showing me he shouldn't have been playing again. So I don't know why we keep using him. When I saw him come on against Chicago, my first thought was, this is the type of game that he's going to be useful for. Whenever you're ahead and your opponent's chasing the game, you bring on Dom, and now they can't just bomb forward because you leave him up there. Now they got to be worried about him. They can't just throw guys forward because if they do, they leave themselves very vulnerable to a guy with a lot of pace. So that's what I expected to see. But now he's been utilized as a starter 2 times in a row, and he's not effective as a starter 2 times in a row. So can we stop trying him as a starter, please? And then Eric Torres, I do sympathize with the guy because, I mean, you are basically the second striker to Joseph Martinez, so it's like you got a lot of space to fill. You know, you got to do a lot to be considered a successful striker at Atlanta. And so, of course, he's going to struggle to be at that same level. And he did work hard. I mean, he had his moments where he looked good. He created something out of nothing. He caused some problems for the defenders. But the quality isn't all there. And I think the best moment to show that was that chance that he had in the first half where basically it sets up perfectly on his left foot to volley. And maybe his left foot's not his strong foot. But even so, that miss hit was, yeah, it was embarrassing. And unfortunately, like, that's not good enough. So I appreciated some of what he did. I appreciated some of the work that he put in, but overall, just it wasn't what we needed. It wasn't good enough to really put New England under any sort of threat. The one chance that he created that was really good that came off of bad touch from the defender and then he slides in Barco, like that was the best thing he created. But it's the only thing I can remember him creating. Everything else, I don't really remember him doing much with it. It was either he laid it off to somebody else or he lost possession, and that's not good enough. So on to the subs. Bello came on and had some more ups and downs. He's still young, still learning, and I feel like there are going to be a lot of these games where it's kind of a learning experience because the moments where he gets beat and then the moments where he succeeds, like those, it's the good and the bad. And from a young player, that's what you've got to expect. He's going to have those moments where he comes up good and he does something fantastic, whether it's with the ball, whether it's defensively. But then he's also going to have those lapses in concentration where he sort of goes diving in when he doesn't need to, or he doesn't read the play and he gets beaten behind because he's not tracking his man. So it's going to be a difficult season for Bello because honestly, he's basically our only left back. Mulroney's not a left back. Ambrose should be playing with Atlanta United too, which he was tonight. So Bello is basically our only option back there, which tells me that we've either got to go get some phenomenal fullbacks because you've got Lennon and Bello and that's basically it, or we've got to change up our system so that way we don't have fullbacks, we can go with wingbacks. And then Bello can be a wingback, or Lennon can be a wingback, or Mulroney can be a wingback, or somebody else. Like, I'm trying to think of what right winger we have that could go there. Moreno could probably be a wingback. Probably need to make that change sometime soon. But Heinze seems to want to keep it where, our fullbacks are still fullbacks, but when they get up, then they can help out on the wide. But Bello average game from it was good enough from a young player and shows that he's growing still. Robinson and Barco came on at halftime. Robinson, did shore up our defense a little bit more and just showed why we need him on the field. He's going to be a hard player to rest this season. And I know it's tempting because you want to rest him. You want to give him a chance to rest his legs after playing a midweek game and then weekend and back to midweek again. You don't want to play him all 3 games in a row, but you see what happens when you don't play him. We were picked apart time and time again, and every single set piece they had in the first half went to one of their heads, where Robinson most of the time is the one kind of being on the end of those. So, yeah, he's going to be difficult to bench this season based on his performances and based on how disappointing Franco and Walks have been so far. I feel like he needs a better defensive partner, but he's good enough to where he can handle most situations on his own, which is good to have back there. And then Barco came on and looked a little lively, but then unfortunately pulled his hamstring, which is great because now we're going into midweek probably without Barco, so fantastic. And then Joseph came on a bit later for Torres, as well as Lopez came on for, who was it? I think it was Mulroney. And Martinez still didn't see much from him, and I know he's still recovering, but it's getting kind of that point where it's like, okay, you got to get past the mental block because it seems like that's where he's stuck at. And that's where most players that suffer an injury like that, they get stuck at that mental block of pushing themselves too hard. They don't want to push too hard. They don't want to risk another re-injury. And you got to get past that because if you don't, you're not going to be able to play 100%. And it feels like the past couple games, that's kind of been where he's at. So hopefully he can get past it soon because we need him to. Because without him, we're going to struggle to produce. The Chicago game, I'm feeling like, is more and more the blip. Whereas you look at the rest of our games, 1 goal in each leg of the Alajuelense, no goals against Orlando, no goals against Philadelphia, one penalty against New England. I mean, it's looking less and less likely that Chicago was the standard. That might have been special. That might have been Chicago's just that bad. So we really need Martinez to get back to his best because these games, I mean, we're seeing one goal is probably not going to be enough for us the way we're defending. So we got to be scoring a lot, especially if our defense, it doesn't look like our defense is getting better. But Eric Lopez looks pretty good. Looks solid. He's clever. He's quick. Not quite as quick or as clever as Barco, but he seems on that same level where he can kind of nip in and out of a challenge real quick and draw a foul most of the time. So I'd like to see a little bit more end product from him, but of course he hasn't played much, so it's hard to really gauge how much is just he's got to grow into the game. But I've liked his energy when he's come on as a sub both times, so would like to see more of him. I don't know why he hasn't started yet as many games as we've had. But yeah, I guess we'll see what's happening with him. All in all, I mean, it's disappointing. It's also disappointing that, it's a crap penalty that wins them the game, but honestly, we didn't do our job to deserve any point out of this game. Based on the run of play, they deserved to win because they were the better team. It's frustrating that you've got Penso as an idiot, but we've got to do our job. We've got to show that, okay, if they win, it's because the referee's an idiot, not because we were terrible. But that's what it felt like. So, yeah. Heinz has got questions to answer. Obviously, we got the midweek game. Not excited for it. That's the thing. After the Philadelphia game, my excitement level dropped. And now after this game, my excitement level's really down here. It's hard to get excited anymore because it feels like we're running into the same problem that we had last year. And we shouldn't be. We have new players. We have a new coach. We should see some sort of change, but it feels like there's no change. It feels like it's all the same. So why do we make all these changes? Like personnel changes, not actual gameplay changes. So anyways, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss, all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.